It is my privilege to introduce our speaker today. Vladimir Pikman is the founding executive director of Beit Sar Shalom in Germany. He was also the founding president of the German Messianic Jewish Alliance and is the vice president of the International Messianic Jewish Alliance. He serves chosen people global ministries by coordinating the ministry in Western and Eastern Europe. Mr. Pikman's desire is to lead people to the Lord, to find and equip new ministers, and to start new messianic ministries worldwide. It is also our privilege here, we're thrilled to have Vladimir direct many Jewish messianic ministries initiatives here at DTS, where he teaches regularly. Vladimir, it's always a privilege to have you speak in chapel, to be engaged, to have our hearts remember first for the Jew, then for the Gentile in regard to our theological convictions here at Dallas Seminary. Appreciate your friendship through the years, and it's an honor to have you in chapel today. Would you please join me in welcoming Vladimir Pikman today?
Well, shalom. It's so quiet. Shalom. Shalom. By the way, shalom is a special word. It's not just a greeting. There is a meaning. In each greeting in the Bible, actually, there is a meaning. As I came to the United States for the first time, particularly to Dallas area, at first, just when I was asked, how are you doing? I thought that it's a question. And then I found out it's a greeting. And I need to go like fine and just proceed. If you travel internationally somewhere, like for example in Germany where I'm located, if you ask somebody a question, how are you doing? Be ready to listen for half an hour, okay? But in Hebrew, greeting means something, the same like a name. So the word shalom in Jewish mindset means like imparting something. I mean, not necessarily exegetical back then, but I'm talking in like Second Temple period development and later development in Jewish mindset. We went as Jewish people, we went so far that we even say that one of God's names is shalom. So when we greet somebody with the word shalom, we impart peace, healing, blessing, prosperity, everything, including like the name of God. So it's not just how you're doing. Shalom. That's what Yeshua, Jesus, told to his disciples. He was telling that on a regular basis, even as he was talking about if you come to a house and you greet them with shalom and they respond you with the same, then your shalom will stay with them and they will be blessed. As Yeshua, after his resurrection, appeared to his disciples, do you remember what he told them? Shalom Aleichem, peace upon you. And it was also a very special Jewish greeting to greet somebody you haven't seen for a while. So he appeared like the one who told them Shalom Aleichem, and they were, wow, he is a ghost. But anyway, so they recognized him by his greeting to some extent. But believe it or not, that's not what I'm going to talk today about. Last month or a number of weeks ago, as I saw the chapel schedule for this semester, I saw my name, and it was written, Rabbi Vladimir Pikman. I was just like, what? Yes, I'm ordained as a Messianic rabbi, no doubts, but it's like not an every year experience on a chapel schedule at Dallas Theological Seminary to have a rabbi speaking. I was smiling for a couple of days. I couldn't, every time I saw that, that's so good. Again, we're making a history. That's nice. This morning, I listened to the chapel I did here at DTS the last time, and it was before COVID, just before COVID, 3 years ago. And the chapel message was a tiny minority with a great significance. The case or the rationale for the case for Jewish studies at Dallas Theological Seminary. I listened to this message this morning and I thought, oh, I was good. So humble, right? We call it chutzpah. Anyway, I was just like, it's a good message. Maybe I need to play it on a screen and just like sit somewhere in the room. And then, well, I need to say something. So it's going to be the second part of this message, sort of. By the way, in the preparation for today, I asked several people I respect, what should I talk about? And they gave me a number of good topics. And I just like, well, the topics are good, but I need to talk about Jewish studies. I need to talk about Jewish people because it's my chance, right? So that's probably what most of you expect me to talk about. Although I can talk about different subjects. But anyway, so back to the story. Last time, I will start with what I finished last time with, okay? And I was quoting at the conclusion, and by the way, you can watch that chapel online, as I said, 3 years ago. At that time, I didn't need my reading glasses. And by the way, I have a rule for myself. I can't preach the sermon once and the same sermon twice because it's too boring. I even cannot tell my testimony the same way twice because it's too boring. I need to do something different. The older I get, the more I break this rule, unintentional, just because I forget what I said last time. Anyway, that's why I listened to my chapel message 3 years ago this morning. Anyway, I will start with what I finished with, namely with a quote from Louis Perry Chafer's Systematic Theology, Volume 7, and it's like summary. And I quote, "In a manner and to an extent quite impossible of comprehension by the finite mind, Israel is appointed to glorify God. This truth must not be slighted. God speaks of the elect nation as Israel, my glory. And indeed, He has chosen that nation above all nations for His glory. He loves them with an everlasting love. When the Christian loves with a divine compassion, he will acknowledge what God loves. Therefore, he too must love Israel." Is it not nice? That's one of the reasons I love Dallas Theological Seminary. When I read these words, I feel good here as a Jew. Those of you who might know my story, I was born as a Jew, I was raised as a Jew, and I always didn't like being Jewish. As the third generation Jewish atheists, not believing in God, being Jewish was a matter of destiny for me. Destiny, like I was born a Jew, I will die a Jew, what a pity. About like this. Like whiny Jew. Anyway, as I believed in God, and then I believed in Jesus, in Yeshua, being Jewish became for me the matter of my calling and purpose in this world. Interestingly, Jesus made me more Jewish than I have ever been before. I became a conscious Jew. I became even more like observant and more religious Jew. And it was quite a surprise to me. And it's so nice to be involved with Dallas Theological Seminary, with such a good dispensationally founded school that sees in Jewish people in Israel such a strong sense of calling. Let me read from another volume of Schaeffer's Systematic Theology, and I'm reading from volume 4, 7 features regarding Israel. Number 1, a nation forever. The founding president of Dallas Theological Seminary was very sure that Israel is a nation forever. It means that they are elect of God, and it's not just before Jesus' event, but also after. It's not just till and through the millennium, but it's forever. We are like eternal. Have you heard of eternal Jew? That's us. We are wandering Jews as well, but anyway. Nobody stops that election. According to the Bible, and Schaeffer uses a number of different passages, according to the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament is pretty clear about that. In Jeremiah chapter 31, as God speaks through the prophet about the new covenant to be made with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, he speaks also about the stability of Jewish national existence. It means he connects the creation with the existence of the Jewish people. Read Jeremiah chapter 31, you will see that. So we are as stable as God's creation as the Jewish people. Yes, indeed, we are eternal. And it means something also practically. Number 2, a land forever. We have the promised land, and this land belongs to us, according to the founder of Dallas Theological Seminary, forever. And it will be given to us in its fullness with the return of our Mashiach, the Messiah, Jesus, Yeshua. Well, it means that those who are at Dallas Theological Seminary, we believe that Israel is not just the tourist land for now, it has some future significance. We are going to visit that land, according to the prophets, for a number of good occasions, including holidays and even including Shabbat. Many of us are going to live there. But it's a tricky subject. We can talk about this subject sometime later, not right now. But there is a connection between us and this land, because the land is eternal, a land forever, and this promise. It's related to future repentance of Israel, and it's related to a restoration of Israel in the land as the Messiah returns. And number 3, a king forever, the Davidic king, the Davidic covenant. Yeshua, Jesus, is going to reign forever. So our destiny, not just Jewish, but everybody's destiny, is to live under the rule of the Jewish king. And number 4, a throne forever. And number 5, a kingdom forever. Kingdom for Israel. Also forever. That was at the core of the founding of Dallas Theological Seminary. It has its implication. We are going to live under the rule of the Jewish king or the king of Israel, in the land and in connection with the land of Israel, and also related to his kingdom. Now, when I asked, and it's just like one example, when I asked, can I, as a Gentile, to eat pork? Some of you know my answer, right? Yeah, sure. It was never prohibited for you. So eat now, but there is an advice: as much as possible, because it's not going to be there later. Don't believe it, read Isaiah 66, exegetically speaking, okay? Not figuratively, not like, just exegetically. Anyway, number 6, a new covenant with the Jewish people. It's also forever. And abiding blessings that Jewish people are going to receive with the coming of the Messiah. So this is the 7 features. Now, these features are the reasons to love Jewish people. In what Schaeffer wrote that Christian is to love Israel if he understands God's heart, it's one of my passions, actually. Do you remember what God says about Israel? I love you. Not because you're bigger, not because you're better, but because just I love you. Do you remember the God's response to Israel's disobedience in the Bible? He stands with outstretched arms. Come back to me. I'm calling for you. Everything what concerns you, it's like touching the apple of my eye. God is very touchy about Israel. He wants Jewish people to be back. Do you remember what Jesus was saying as he was coming to Jerusalem in Luke chapter 19? He was saying, while weeping, oh, if you would recognize at this very day what serves to your peace, but it's hidden from your eyes. He was weeping. He was crying over Jerusalem. He was crying about the Jewish people. Do you remember what Apostle Paul writes in Romans chapter 9, in first 5 verses? I have a deep sorrow in my heart and unceasing grief. It's like he's in pain and he's in deep depression for the sake of the Jewish people. He would like to be accused and cursed, sort of, and separated from the Messiah for the sake of his Jewish people. So the heart of God, the heart of Yeshua, and the heart of the apostles is filled with love for the people of Israel, as well as the heart of the founder of the Dallas Theological Seminary. What a good example. I would really encourage all of us to follow this. So far, so good. Nothing new under the sun, right? Did I say something new to you? Hopefully not. Now, it is getting a little bit more trickier. The people of Israel are a nation. And let me give you a definition of, for example, Cambridge Dictionary, what nation is. It's a large group of people of the same race who share the same language, traditions, and history, but who might not all live in one area. And let me give the definition of a people from the same dictionary. All the men, women, and children who live in a particular country or who have the same culture or language. And Merriam-Webster definition of peoples is a body of persons that are united by a common culture, tradition, or sense of kinship, that typically have common language, institutions, and beliefs, and that often constitute a politically organized group. When we talk about a nation or about the people, you cannot separate like their quote-unquote race or biological descendants from their culture, from their traditions, from their belief. Would you agree with me? What does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be Chinese? What does it mean to be Russian or Ukrainian? What does it mean to be Mexican or Japanese or whatever people group? It means to have some culture, some tradition. If you love people, you cannot hate the culture. You cannot hate their traditions. Otherwise, what kind of love it is? Just, oh, I love Americans, but they are so weird in what they're doing. I don't mean it, okay? I just use it as an example. Unfortunately, among Christians, there are many of those who might say, I love Jewish people, but at the same time, they are anti-Jewish, or sort of like anti-Judaism. So I love Jewish people, but all their teaching is so weird. And there are so many ideas about Jewish people. It's very difficult to love Jewish people and to separate them in the mind from the rabbis, from their traditions, from the customs. It's not good even for our understanding of our future. Let me give you an example from the past. After the last book of the Bible that we use in the Old Testament was written, some people call that was a period of silence between the last prophet and the New Testament. But God never been silent. There was a very huge development in Jewish culture and in Jewish mindset. And let me give you an example that without this understanding, without this development, without God speaking to the Jewish people, even without that being written in the Bible, we couldn't see even the first prophecy in the Bible. So where is the first prophecy in the Bible, Messianic prophecy, is located? According to the Old Testament exegesis, somewhere, I even don't know where. Just talking to some scholars today, Old Testament scholars, there are almost no Messianic prophecies in the Bible. But according to the Jewish apostles, like Paul and John, the first prophecy in the Bible is found in Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Exegetically, just what is written. But according to the Jewish mindset, at the time of the apostles, there was much more in this passage. There was the Torah, there was wisdom, there was Memra, there was name, and there was the Messiah. According to the Apostle John. Do you remember what the Gospel of John starts with? In the beginning? Well, should I tell you? You know that by heart. And do you remember what Paul is writing in Colossians chapter 1? Jesus was there. So they could see something in Genesis 1:1 what was not possible exegetically to see there. Because God was talking to the Jewish people. He was navigating the culture in the preparation of the Messiah to arrive. Do you see my point? The Messiah should come for the first time. He should be born. He should be raised. He should teach. He should fulfill all the prophecies. And the culture and the people were being prepared by God for his arrival, even without that being written in the Bible. Yeshua celebrated the feast of dedication, Hanukkah. Is Hanukkah in the Protestant Bible or in the Hebrew Bible of the Jewish people? No, but it's 2nd century BC. BC, not before COVID, but before, before Christ. So it was there. And in Matthew chapter 24, Yeshua refers to the Hanukkah events. Although Hanukkah was not in the Bible. God was navigating Jewish people in a certain way for Jesus to come and to be received, to be understood. He fulfilled the prophecies of the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, not even in many cases in a clear exegetical sense of the Hebrew Bible. He fulfilled the prophecies in the expectations that Jewish people used to have at that very time. Without this development, without the rabbis or sages of that time, we would not have Jesus in the way we see him in the New Testament. Why am I telling you all this? God is faithful to the Jewish people. As we read in the Bible, and as I quoted from the Schaeffer's systematic theology, it's a nation forever. God is working among Jewish people. He is still navigating them. Do you think that Holocaust was a coincidence? No. The creation of the state of Israel, modern state, that we're so happy to visit and to see the footsteps of Jesus, or what they sell us as such. We love to visit Israel. Was it the coincidence that Israel was established as the state? Not believing Israel yet. Not even eschatological Israel, but we know that it all has its roots in the Bible, and it's all in the preparation for Yeshua, for Jesus to come back. We celebrate this week, we are going to celebrate here on campus the Passover Seder. That is actually in Jewish homes celebrated on Wednesday night next week. And in the order of the Passover Seder, there is something what was not there in the Old Testament, and there is also something what was not there even in the New Testament in Jesus' times. But we can see Jesus so clearly there. And when he will come back, we are going to eat the Passover meal with him again. And the way we are going to eat it with him, I'm sure would not be the way Moses did with his people back there in Egypt. And even not the way Jesus did exactly and precisely with his disciples. But we are going to do it closely to the way the Jewish people do it even these days. I'm sure we are going to have their afikomen. Do you know what afikomen means? If not, come to our Seder or watch it recorded online. God is preparing Jewish people for the return of the great King of Israel. He is working in this nation. He never abandoned us. Why am I telling that all? it's worthy of our efforts to learn something about Jewish people. Jewish studies are essential for Dallas Theological Seminary, historically, from the very foundation. I'm so glad and I praise God that we have approved Master of Arts in Jewish Studies at Dallas Theological Seminary, a groundbreaking degree. It's a blessing that we have Master of Theology with emphasis in Jewish Studies. But I do believe that it's just the beginning. The theology should be done considering Israel, should be done considering the work of God among Jewish people in the last 2,000 years through the return of the Messiah. We can understand God better if the Jewish people are still chosen people of God, a nation forever. If God is still with these people and these people are still dear to His heart, we can learn much about God by studying Jewish history, by studying Jewish theology, by looking at the rabbinic theology as well, not necessarily agreeing with everything, and even saying, well, what a strange stuff. Sorry. But we can learn so much by seeing God in His chosen people, Israel. Listen to, just try to, I hope you can understand that. If Jewish people are still His chosen people, He is still there working with them in the preparation for the Messiah to come back. I would say, I wish one day for Dallas Theological Seminary to have not just Jewish studies and brown bags that have and seminars, conferences that help fight anti-Semitism, support dispensationalism, and prepare Christians to greet Jesus in the future as He really is. I think that all the departments at Dallas Theological Seminary should consider something of the Jewish studies. Like for pastoral ministries department, oh my goodness, how do the Jewish people or the rabbis did the preaching in the last 2,000 years? Maybe it's relevant. The systematic theology department, how about just seeing the Jewish mindset a little bit, like, not either or, but both and idea of Jewish people. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand how Jesus is the fully man and fully God. But anyway, it's a subject for its own. How about how the Jewish people did the mission in the Old Testament, but also intertestamental period, and since then, for missiology department. It doesn't have to be a class. It can be just a class period. But let's see the work of God in His chosen people, Israel, in the preparation for the return of the Messiah. Dallas Theological Seminary needs Jewish studies. And it's more than just salvation of the Jewish people. Should I start talking that Jewish people need the gospel? Well, come and eat a free lunch with us after chapel. It's about, is a good Jew go to hell without Jesus topic? I'm not going to talk about Jewish evangelism today. I think it's clear. Everybody needs Yeshua. Jewish people first, because the gospel is by its very essence, the good news for the Jews. And Jewish studies are needed at Dallas Theological Seminary because it's our foundation, because it's our legacy, because it's our future as well. You even don't know how much you can learn from God's working among Jewish people. Well, my time is over. Come and visit with me. Come talk, ask questions. I'm very approachable, very available. When I'm in Dallas, I stay on campus. So visit with me. If you have never done it, just try. I'm so approachable. I love being with you. Just see me around. Visit my office. Make an appointment, or just get hold of me somewhere on campus. Let's talk. Let me show the beauty of God in the Jewish people. Let's learn from Him, from history, theology, and let's stay for the salvation of the Jewish people and for the return of the great King of the Jews. Outside, there is a table with information about the student group, our Jewish friends, DTS student group. I want to finish with something very encouraging. The last year, for the first time in DTS history, there was a sukkah, a tabernacle, on campus. I think it's a blessing. The Bible returns to the place it should be manifested. Come and celebrate with us. Come and learn with us. Please, love Jewish people. If you're a Christian, love Jewish people. And love our culture, our traditions, or just at least appreciate it, because God is working in them. Well, see you on campus. Shalom.